today's episode, we are dealing with quite a few things, but we would like to start off with VAR in particular. Now, the video assistant referee has been causing controversy and much contention across, well, I wouldn't say the European leagues, but I would say the Premier League in particular. And today we started off the show dealing with 5 reasons why video assistant referee is garbage. And my boy Norando Brown, my fellow co-host, he is here to go through that for us. So, Mr. Brown, tell us.
First of all, let me begin by saying everyone, not only myself, it has been disturbed and thrown off completely by video assistance referee. We saw it in the World Cup, we saw it across Europe last year, and we were expecting big things this season, especially in the English Premier League, which is one of the most watched and most funded football leagues across the world. Now, video assistant referee is expected to clarify clear and obvious errors on the path of the referees. However, I think it has been falling short dramatically. I'll be elaborating on 5 pointers today why I think it has been underachieving or basically falling short of the expectations, and in a nutshell, why it has been horrendous. I think it takes away the fun from the game to begin with. First thing, when a player scores, they look to the referee, and by the time the decisions are made, the fun, the enthusiasm and everything is already gone. The moment has passed, and even the fans in the stadium, they don't know what to do. Secondly, I think VAR is consistently inconsistent. Some decisions that referees have been making throughout the past few weeks have been they've been eerie, and a lot of other referees have been giving justifications for those decisions.
Give me an example now, man. Give me an example. Because the fans would want to know what exactly you're referring to. Eh?
Alright, there are quite a few. Let me allude to Manchester United versus Liverpool a few weeks ago. I think in the
my team, everything is on.
No. Alright, I can jump to the case of Dele Alli then in that Tottenham game where a lot of persons in the stands, they expected a handball, and in the end it was ruled a goal. So
that one though, it wasn't clear and obvious, Mr. Brown. That one, they say it has to be clear and obvious.
Exactly my pointer. Because if it is a clear and obvious error that we're bringing to the video assistance referee, then why then was that brought to VAR? It wasn't clear and obvious. Speaking about the inconsistencies of VAR, we've seen calls being whistled for penalties, especially in the box, pushes, handball, etc. And elsewhere we've seen those same calls going like unpunished. Sadio Mane, I think on the weekend he pushed Raheem Sterling in the back.
Chronic diver. I don't even want to hear nothing about Sadio Mane.
I haven't gone to the diving aspect of it as yet.
I know.
But he pushed Raheem Sterling in the back. That one went on.
That was the Manchester City Liverpool game.
Exactly, and that one went unnoticed. However, a penalty was
reviewed?
No, it wasn't, and a penalty was given a few weeks earlier for a similar offense on Richarlison for Everton. So it begs the question then: who is right and who is wrong? Who has been making the right calls and who has been making the wrong calls? So is it the case where sometimes it is right and sometimes it is wrong? No. It's either a penalty or it's not a penalty. I think
the interpretation of whoever are the video assistant referees on the day. And it seems that on any given day, they have different interpretations of the same type of incident, which yes, that begs the question, what exactly is a foul and what exactly is legitimate, or what is good? What am I supposed to be doing as a player?
If it is a case where sometimes it is right and sometimes it is wrong, then what do we leave the fans to believe? What are we putting out there for the fans to suggest and to extrapolate from what they're seeing in these games? I think video assistance referee should not only be confined to a small room. However, what they're reviewing should be seen on all the screens in the stadium, so the fans can actually follow what's happening and understand why decisions were made and how the decisions were arrived at. Right? I think the referees this season have failed to visit the pitch side camera. We've seen it in Italy, we've seen it in Spain last season, we've seen it in the Champions League However, this season, not one game has seen a referee gone over to pitch side
Mr. Brown,
screen.
you have to ask the question, are they allowed to do that? Because based on the implementation of VAR in England, it does not seem that they have that same authority to go and review the tape themselves.
They were told at the beginning of the season by Mike Riley to try and minimize the number of times that they visit the pitch side.
Minimize and it's zero?
There you go, to minimize the visits to the pitch side screens. However, upon having another meeting, he indicated that they should not go over to the screen any at all. Some have been saying, okay, we should go over to the screen. Others have been saying, okay, we shouldn't go over to the screen. So the referees themselves are confused as to what to do and how to get to a decision when they're playing. The Refereeing Association of England basically lamented that it is too time consuming, and we know the English Premier League is extremely fast paced, so they're saying having gone over to the pitch side screen, that would eat up too much time, but I think that time that it will eat up is really worth it, because in the end they would have been making better decisions, and VAR this season, I think it really deserves something like that to explain some of these decisions.
Mr. Brown, in their defense, not to cut you off, but
go ahead.
The initial review takes upwards of probably 3 minutes. Takes about 3 minutes, I would say, on average. Now, is it that when a ref has to review it himself, that is 3 minutes plus the time the ref takes to review it himself?
No,
I just want to get that for clarification. Or is it that he would know, while they are reviewing it, he would also be reviewing it simultaneously?
No,
That
that wouldn't make any sense if the referee should go over to take the same 3 minutes as the persons in the room, because then it wouldn't be a case where we need the persons in the room. Then if it's video assistance referee, the assistant stands for assistance, and assistance is synonymous with help. So they're supposed to be helping the referee. There you go. So they don't make the decisions for the referee. They help him to make the correct decision. And so far, this is either they've been making the decisions for the referee, or they haven't been making any decisions at all. That's my opinion. Finally, I think this season, what I've seen is the referees are making rules to justify the decisions, instead of using their decision to allude to the rules that were previously made.
So we're shifting the goalpost.
There you go. So especially at the weekend, we saw where there was a handball offense in the Liverpool game. The ball ricocheted from Bernardo.
It was atrocious to me.
Yeah.
To me, that's a handball all day. That is a handball. But
I'm gonna explain two instances now, right? The reason I would have said it's not a handball to begin with is because it ricocheted from Bernardo Silva's hand, and then it went onto Trent Alexander-Arnold's arm afterwards. However, the referee association is saying the reason it wasn't given as a handball is because Alexander-Arnold's hand was in a natural position, which I completely disagree with. All right?
It was in a natural position. That's what the official explanation for that.
That's what they're saying.
May I just remind you recently the decision Chelsea won in that game versus Ajax, where a shot was taken, a guy's hand was by his side, and a penalty was given when the ball hit his hand. And now we have a situation where a guy's hand is outstretched. Mind you, he's running back, and then he turned it towards the ball. But of course, as you said, it ricocheted off on another player before it hit him. But I don't think that's a natural position. It's not a natural position.
I agree with you too, and I'm even gonna go a step further. I think Fabinho's goal should have been chalked off as well, because Alexander-Arnold initiated that play. He was the first player in that move that resulted in Fabinho's goal. And the rule says if an offensive player creates an offense in the build-up to there you go. So he was the one who initiated the play, and the end of the play resulted in a goal. So if he was the one who initiated the play and the ball came off his hand, then it should have been a handball in Liverpool's penalty box, and that would have been a penalty, no? So we can flip the script a million and one ways, but there would have been only one end result, and it would have been a penalty for Manchester City. If they're not mentioning Bernardo Silva's handball as the primary reason why it wasn't given, then it's a penalty all day long.
And then my question is this to you, Mr. Brown. If you had to grade VAR this season, if you had to, so far, obviously, it's only 12 games in the EPL, dealing with the EPL specifically in this case, because in terms of the application of VAR, it has been the poorest throughout all the leagues in Europe. I think we can agree on that, not so?
Agree.
Right. If you had to grade them from, I guess, out of 100, what percentage would you give them for now, based on the 12 games you have seen and the application of VAR so far?
All right. Being a Chelsea fan, I'd mark them on the opposite end of the spectrum. However, if I'm to be objective, I think they deserve maybe 30 or 25%. A lot of fans include a whole lot of emotions into their choice and their reaction to VAR, but I think they've gotten some of the decisions right. However, a lot of high-stake games have been called into question because more persons have been watching those games, and big decisions have been made in those games that have affected the end results. So at the end of the day, Manchester United, Liverpool, there was controversy in that game. Manchester City, Liverpool, top of the table clash, controversy in that game as well. And both of these games were really watched. A lot of persons around the world were paying attention to these games, and as a result, they're gonna see these games and then they're gonna say, okay, this technology is awful. However, I'm not saying it's not awful. I'm saying it has gotten some decisions right in the other games that may have not been watched as much as.
It's more right than wrong.
No. That,
you know,
well, I'm
based on interpretation.
I'm giving it 30%, so there's no way it could be more right
30.
than wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, I think 30. There you go. So
close to passing.
It's not even close to a passing grade. But as I said, a lot of times in the English Premier League, persons are paying attention to the big games, and as a result, they will see some big decisions being made, and they're gonna say, okay. They'll just formulate these opinions from it because that's the game they watched, and the lesser games that aren't as watched will also prove like VAR it can do well, but it's just like how it's being implemented and the persons who are in that room.
And Mr. Brown, on the other end of the spectrum, there are certain teams that seem to have benefited a bit more from VAR. I would say Liverpool have been. Many people would say that's probably a bias on my part, given the fact I'm a Manchester United fan, but I think a lot of other people would share the same sentiment I have. There are few teams that actually benefited a bit more from VAR than others. I could only probably count one decision where Liverpool felt like they were, well, probably two. The Firmino goal this weekend, is this weekend or this week? I think the weekend.
It's last week, yeah.
Yeah, where his armpit put him offside. He still ended up winning that game. And the decision against us with Divock Origi when they had a foul, they said it was a foul prior to us scoring the goal. But outside of that, I can't think I remember any other VAR decision that
the one with
Liverpool negatively, you know.
The one with Sadio, the one with Sadio Mane as well. That it came off his arm in Manchester United.
Well, would you say that was a questionable decision because you know we had some that they're not clear and obvious. So if you look at the ones where a lot of analysis was required.
Fair enough.
If we look at the ones where a lot of analysis was required, I don't think they got much decisions like that where it actually affected them negatively. On the other hand, we had quite a few teams. So I would look at Arsenal. I think Arsenal was hard done in the same match where Granit Xhaka, I think, was sent off. I think it had some terrible VAR decisions in that game. It had obviously Sheffield against Tottenham, where
to give you a bit of statistics, if VAR hadn't been intervening in the games this season, Chelsea would have been 4 points better off. So. We have had the most decisions gone.
That's a selfish perspective, but all right.
Yeah, we have been the most disadvantaged team by VAR this
Also,
season.
that is actual statistics.
That is actual statistics.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
who has
So
benefited the most? Because
I think
I
I think it was Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. Both of them have had
Wow.
4 decisions, and I think West Ham is up there as well with
So
maybe
we have
4 or 5
benefited the most
decisions.
from VAR so far, and Chelsea
Yeah.
has been has, I guess, on the wrong end of the
Yeah.
VAR decisions. The most
Yeah, so-
this
so-
season. Okay, fair enough.
So that's where it's at.
No problem. I just hope going forward, this is me, this is my thinking. As we said before, and we dealt with this ad nauseum, the VAR's purpose, as you said, is to assist the referee. And to me, it's to assist the game to making sure we make the correct decisions. I hope going forward we eventually get this right. Obviously nothing is perfect. There's nothing perfect under the sun. But I would want to hope that we can get, this is me having a high ceiling, 8 out of 10 decisions correctly going forward. In the English Premier League specifically, because of course we are talking about this league the most, it's the most watched league in the world.
But you know what? So you know what's surprising. You know what's surprising? I agree, but you know what's surprising as well? The English Premier League is quote unquote the best league in the world, and it has the worst
But that's
referees.
arguably.
Yeah,
arguably the best league.
arguably the best league in the world.
I'm sure to find a
And-
Barcelona fan who would disagree with you.
but there are only 3 teams playing in Spanish league. But I won't get to that right now. But
Alright.
yeah, and it has the worst referees because we've seen it in Italy, we've seen it in Spain, and there wasn't this much controversy surrounding the calls that have been made. Because I watched La Liga to its entirety last season. I watched quite a bit of Serie A, and the decisions weren't as questionable as these ones. So I'm not sure what they've been doing wrong in England, but there definitely needs to be something done. They need to get their acts together, because whether it be more training, I know we spoke at length about the training and the regime that they've been put to go through, but something's definitely not right. Something's falling short, and it is evident, and it's an embarrassment too. It's an embarrassment because when
it shouldn't be the main talking point of a football game, and I think that's the problem.
It is every week.
It's going to overshadow the actual games. Everything now, it's about what happened with VAR this weekend instead of
no
that
one
game
remembers
was
the
excellent.
game.
Wow, I
No.
enjoyed that. That game was electrifying.
Yeah.
It's none of that. Now everything is VAR, and I am getting fed up of it.
Yeah, no one remembers the
To
game.
get back to focusing on the football.
I was having a discussion with a colleague earlier today, and I explained to him that if it continues at this rate, a lot of persons will just stop watching the league. A lot of persons will be turned off by it, and they'll just like put their interest elsewhere. Because when I work all week and I sit down at the end to watch the English Premier League, I'm not prepared to be like held hostage by some video assistance referee that's like ruining the game in its entirety. That's rubbish, and I prefer watching the Serie A then, or Bundesliga if that's the case, because far better job than these imbeciles in England. I'm not sure what has been going through their heads. The referee association, the persons trying to justify the decisions that are being made, all of them put together, they're numbskulls, and they're clueless as to what they're doing with this technology. Every technology, it has its pros and its cons, just like a cell phone that you have, it has its pros and its cons. But it's the use of it that is being called into question. And if you're not using it effectively and properly, then persons are going to question it. And right now, VAR left alone is perfect. It's wonderful. But the misuse of it, or the maluse that we're seeing in England, in the English Premier League, is preposterous. And I can't wait for them to do something about it.
There you have it, folks. This week, VAR, rubbish.
Next to Jesse Lingard, Manchester
Goes
United,
into the dustbin next.
and Eden Hazard.
Exactly. VAR is rubbish as of right now.
In this segment of the show, we'll be discussing load management in the NBA and how it has resulted in some injuries, or does it have any direct effect on the surplus of players that we've seen getting injured in the NBA so far. And these are superstars, and they basically draft their own contracts. They lament what they want to do throughout the seasons, the games they want to play. And I think this was a part of Kawhi Leonard's contract when he signed for the Clippers. He selected the games he wanted to play. They prioritized certain games, certain games throughout, and they decided, okay, we want to preserve you as much as possible for the playoffs should we get there. All right, Darius, over to you.
Mr. Bro. Now, I have a massive issue with that load management. I don't agree with it at all. I could give one simple example of why I don't condone it. I will give one player, LeBron James. Now, I am not a LeBron James fan per se, but I can rate him in that regard because this is his 17th season. I think he was injured last season, but it was his first injury in, I don't know when was the last time he got injured prior to that. And LeBron James has always been there. Now tell me, is it that when you sign a contract as a basketball player, you don't have an obligation to the fans? The fans are spending thousands of dollars. A courtside seat sometimes got worth of $50,000 depending on the matchups. That Bucks game that he rested, obviously the Bucks are what people consider a title contender going forward because they were close last year. Why is it you resting? Why? Because you want to save yourself for the
wanted to play the Raptors.
Yes, but but he didn't perform well against the Raptors. You only are by his standards. His high standards.
Well, he almost got the triple double. He only fell. He had 9 assists. He had 9 assists. So if he fell just short of the triple double,
almost isn't good enough in my book.
Yeah.
Because
I think for the first half he was terrible. He didn't score one field goal. Yeah.
Kawhi, come on, Kawhi. LeBron is what, like 4 or 5 or maybe 6 years older than you. I think Kawhi is still in his 20s. LeBron is 34, going on 35. But I think this stemmed from when Kawhi was in Spurs. But at the end of the day, you have an obligation to the fans. I am not asking you to play all 82 games, Kawhi Leonard. But I am asking you not to take every other game off. Is it that you are a grandfather hiding in Kawhi's body? I don't know. Is it that father time caught up with you already? That is not good enough, Kawhi. I'm not condoning that. But maybe, if I have to be fair to you, look at the amount of injuries that have been wrapped up in the league this season. As we saw what happened to the Golden State Warriors. They have fallen apart basically. They are at the bottom of the table. And we have seen now Gordon Hayward for the Celtics has gone down again. I really felt it for him because he just returned from a major injury. I think it was a broken leg he had last year, not so? It was a broken leg Gordon Hayward had. And now he has some type of fracture again. And maybe this load management, quote unquote, is the reason why Kawhi Leonard doesn't get injured. And maybe the end game is just to win in the playoffs. But is it that we should just start the season in May, June, and call that George? Is that what we should do now? Just forget the regular season completely, pick the sides we think are best, and send them to the playoffs so that we don't have to worry about load management? Of course, the league will lose a lot of money based on that decision. So Kawhi Leonard,
and that's why they find the
games, please. I'm begging you.
That's why they find the Clippers as well, because a lot of like the television rights for the games, it's really expensive, and persons want to see these superstars on show, right? They go out, as you rightfully said, they spend their big bucks to see the superstar. Exactly. And if I pay $400-500 to go watch a Clippers game, and
that's not even close.
That's a third tier. And I go out and Leonard isn't playing, I'm going to be furious. And I'm pretty sure a lot of fans will share similar sentiments. But at the end of the day, we have to be understanding as well, because these players aren't playing. It's not like the English Premier League where you're playing 38 games for the regular season. It's a whole lot of games.
Exactly.
But
maybe the league should then, looking forward, they should probably cut down the amount of games. You play some teams, and they're
playing every other. it's every other day too. Like
And there are
I
some
think the
back-to-backs.
Raptors,
There
for
are
example,
some back-to-backs. They
yeah,
must Kawhi for every back-to-back.
eh,
They did it with the Raptors.
here you go.
And I think Clippers are following the same model that the Raptors had. We saw what he did
Yeah.
when they did that, so we are going to do it too. And I think, as you rightly said, it was something written into his contract. But maybe they should ban clauses
They,
like
they
that.
need to preserve. Yeah, these are, as I said, their bodies earn them the big bucks, right? Their abilities, and when they go out there to play, if they're wearing out themselves on like games that don't matter, quote unquote, then they won't be earning the big bucks for very long, right? Because if I'm playing, if we have exceptional talents like LeBron James, who's an exception.
Yes.
Right?
I don't
But
think anyone's
how
body
many
could
other
stand up to that type of beating. His body took quite a beating, I would say, because he did deep playoff runs for I think 9 seasons straight. He probably was
So
in the finals, I think. Is 9 finals he made or something like that? Yeah, 6-3 I think is his record. 1-6 he lost 1-3 lost 6. So yeah.
It doesn't
Like
make any
82
sense,
plus, so
and
that's over
we
100 games per year, basically.
The NBA is collecting their end of the bargain. The teams are being they're benefiting, but the players are the ones like suffering. And when they go out there every other night, I think the Raptors, they played I think they played Saturday night and then they ended up playing Monday night again, and
They
it was
played the two
against
LA
Lakers
teams.
and
They played
Clippers.
the Clippers and they played the
That's what I'm
Lakers.
saying.
They played the Lakers.
And
They
Lakers.
beat the Lakers,
And-
actually. Hats off to them. I'll give them
and
credit
lost
for that.
and lost to the Clippers. And when you think of this, these are two high intensity games, right? It's not a game that you can say, okay, I'll probably play some clutch players. No, these are high intensity games that are demanding and they take a toll on the body. So if the Clippers, I think $50,000 isn't a big ask. But how often will they be fined this $50,000?
I think they should find
are they
every time Kawhi restful load management. Milk the franchise.
or maybe the teams need to have a meeting with the NBA then to talk about it,
But
because
the NBA besides
players
Kawhi,
they need to,
see,
the players get tired. The players get tired. And Kyle Lowry is currently injured for the Raptors, and he's one of their best players. It's like an injury every other day. It's an injury every other day, and it goes back to the load management as we spoke about earlier. So in the end, the NBA needs to sort themselves out. The teams in the NBA, they need to rally around their players. They need to stand by their players and like draft up a meeting or something to speak about this.
So what is the players union doing? Is it that these
Yeah,
concerns are only
nothing,
shared
obviously.
by Kawhi's team, as in the team of people around him, and the fact that he would have written something like that into his contract? I don't hear LeBron James complaining in his 17th season. I didn't hear Steph Curry complaining, but he obviously is injured now. I don't hear Russell Westbrook complaining, James Harden complaining. In fact, many of them came out and said, I think James Harden said, sometimes I'm banged up, but if I am fit, I will play.
I still go out there.
Russell Westbrook,
I still go out there and play.
never shortchanges us on effort. We know that. You can see 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Headless
Yeah.
chicken, but 100 miles per hour.
But is it fair? That's the question. Is it fair on the players? Because they're doing it
Is
to
it
entertain
fair?
us, the fans.
$200 million
Yeah, that's why.
dollar contracts. Is it fair?
These guys make big bucks, but I'm saying we still have to be rational when addressing the situation, because after all, they're humans. Other players can entertain you, I'm pretty sure.
I need to entertain. And you are paying handsomely to entertain me. 200 and, I think somebody, the highest was 210. I think that's 210 million over 5 years. Now when you do the maths on that,
So
it's basically about 40 million a season or something, a little over 40 million a season. That's a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
so if it is you are playing for what?
So
When we come to
he
about
needs to work
6
for it
months
then.
out of the year, they start in October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So 9 months, and you get about 3 months off over it. 9 months per year.
9 months
And
every
you
other
know
day.
that
Every other day.
Well, I understand you want to take a few off, but I don't think you should play less than probably 70 games once you are fit. Don't you agree? That's 12.
Well, then
giving you 12.
70 is fair. 70 is fair.
12
70 is
days
fair.
off.
Because they
12
sit,
days, Roberts. 12 days off.
yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. But then again, the fans are gonna ask, what games do you decide on? So what games? So someone is always gonna be complaining.
Stick your hand in and you choose a game. You don't have to. You don't have any structure in it. You say, hey, we could roster it. We say, all right, you was off last time. You're off next week. It's like any workplace,
right.
Any shift system. You could do it like that. Everyone is probably allowed to take games off. That would help, and it probably would ease the injury crisis the NBA is currently facing, because a lot of stars are injured. So obviously, that would diminish the quality of the games we are seeing, because everybody wants to see the superstars.
That is it for this week's episode of Halftime TV. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. Myself and comment. Myself, Norando Brown, checking out, and Darius Burris saying until next time.
Signing out.